Hart story.
This studio in New York is being prepared for performances of songs written by a great musical partnership, one that helped define a classic era of sophistication and wit in the American musical theater. The composer was Richard Rodgers. The lyricist was Lorenz Hart. Unlike the integrated musicals by Rodgers and Hammerstein, it's the songs of Rodgers and Hart which are remembered more than their shows. But in this profile of the two men, today's Broadway singers perform their songs with period orchestrations to reflect the way they were first heard. Songs that have become standards, like My Funny Valentine, The Lady is a Tramp, and from the 1938 show set in ancient Greece, The Boy is from Syracuse, Falling in Love with Love.
Falling for make-believe. Falling in love with love is playing the fool. Caring too much is such a juvenile fancy. Learning to trust is just for children in school. I fell in love with love one night when the moon was full. I was unwise with eyes unable to see. I fell in love with love everlasting. But love fell out with me. Falling in love with love is falling for make-believe. Falling in love with love is playing the fool. Caring too much is such a juvenile fancy. Learning to trust is just for children in school. I fell in love with love one night when the moon was full. I was unwise with eyes unable to see. I fell in love with love everlasting. But love fell out
A lyric about the illusory nature of love was typical of Larry Hart, who at under 5 feet felt himself to be deeply unattractive. To set such a lyric to a lilting sweet waltz underlines the difference between him and the confident, handsome Dick Rodgers. This contrast is visible in a short film made in 1929, in which the two men gallantly attempted to play themselves.
Suppose you tell me how you began.
Have you got 2 or 3 days to listen?
Yes, if you tell it to Mr. Rodgers' music.
Laugh that off, Hart. It's a long, heart-rending story.
Yes.
When the noisy town lets its windows down.
Rodgers and Hart grew up in New York at the turn of the century. Larry was born in 1895, Dick 7 years later in 1902. Though they wouldn't meet until 1919, their family homes were located only 1 block apart in Harlem, just by what was then called Mount Morris Park. In those days, the neighborhood was predominantly middle class and Jewish. The Rodgers lived at number 3, West 120th Street. Dick and his elder brother Morty grew up in a brownstone with their father William, a distinguished doctor, and their mother Mamie, whose talent for the piano inspired the future composer to take up the instrument himself.
They realized that he had talent, and they encouraged that by taking him to the theater a lot, which he loved.
The Harts lived at number 59, West 119th Street. Larry and his younger brother Teddy were born to German parents from Hamburg. Their father Max was a loud, coarse businessman, but their mother Frida was gentle and artistic and encouraged Larry's gift with words. Larry and Dick both attended Columbia University at different times, but it was here their collaboration would begin.
A mutual friend, Philip Levitt, said to Dick Rodgers, "You need a lyricist. And I know a guy who writes terrific lyrics. Why don't you come and meet him?" So he took him around the block to where Larry Hart lived, and they were introduced, and as Philip Levitt said, it was love at first sight.
When I first met Mr. Hart was an old man of 23, and I was 16. He felt that musical shows were cowardly, responded only to formula, and said nothing.
In their earlier shows, there's a kind of collegiate quality to their work, and it's not surprising because the first shows that Rodgers and Hart wrote were for college productions and amateur productions.
Bulldogs run around New Haven, Harvard paints old Cambridge red, even poor old Philadelphia really has a college, it is said.
Rodgers and Hart's first published song was an amusing little number liked by the producer and comic Lou Fields, who included it in his Broadway show, A Lonely Romeo. Already Larry Hart was showing off his flair for the unexpected rhyme.
There is a railroad around Lover's Lane, and the conductor is you. My heart goes faster than any old train, right on schedule too. All is ready for a honeymoon, I've a route in view. Our express leaves morning, night, and noon. Travel with me, please do. We'll melt in Syria, freeze in Siberia, negligee in Timbuktu. In dreamy Portugal, I'm gonna court you, gal. Ancient Rome will paint anew. I'll call it Budapest, you like in Budapest, oh, for far Peru. I'll go to hell for ya, or Philadelphia, any old place with you.
Lou's son, Herbert Fields, joined forces with Rodgers and Hart to try to find a producer for their shows. 5 years of struggle followed, which they would later recreate for the camera.
It's all your fault, my fault. All you did was talk about your lyrics. Why didn't you let me play the music for him? I'm sick of this racket. Now you'll have to go into the real estate business with your father. Come on.
Just as Richard Rodgers was poised to change professions and sell baby clothes, a call came from the Theatre Guild to write songs for a revue called the Garrick Gaieties. The show was an overnight success, and one song in particular was an immediate hit.
We'll have Manhattan, the Bronx and Staten Island, too.
It's lovely going through Bonneville.
It's very fancy on old Delancey Street, you know.
The subway charms us all when balmy breezes blow
To and fro. And tell me what street compares with...
Once they hit with Manhattan and the Garrick Gaieties, they were constantly in demand. And the thing that blows my mind is that they would write 2, 3, or 4 shows a year. And most of these shows were pretty successful.
Isn't she cute? Isn't she sweet? She's gentle and mentally nearly complete. She's knockout, she's regal, her beauty's illegal. She's the girlfriend.
One of the things that really distinguishes those early Rodgers and Hart songs is just the virtuosic display of rhyming that Larry Hart can do. He loved to rhyme, and not in a kind of June Moon way. He loved to find the unexpected rhyme, the triple rhyme, the interior rhyme, or whatever. So In a song like Mountain Greenery, there's a lyric that goes, beans could get no keener reception in a beanery. So he loved to do that. And I think he elevated the sense of wordplay in Broadway songs. And of course, Rodgers matched him note for note with a kind of rhythmic insistence in his music.
On the 1st of May, it is moving day.
Spring is here, so blow your job, throw your job away.
Now's the time to trust to your wanderlust.
In the city's dust you wait, must you wait?
Just you wait. In a mountain greenery where God paints the scenery, just two crazy people together.
While you love your lover, let blue skies be your coverlet. When it rains, we'll laugh at the weather.
And if you're good, I'll search for wood so you can cook while I stand looking.
Beans could get no keener reception in a beanery.
Bless our mountain greenery home. In a mountain greenery where God paints the scenery, just two crazy people together.
Sequestering where no pests are pestering, no dear mama holds us in tether.
Mosquitoes here won't bite you, dear. I'll let them sting me on the finger. We could find no cleaner retreat from life's machinery than our mountain greenery home.
Producers were willing to listen to them and to their ideas. And one of the ideas that they had was to make a musical of Mark Twain's A Connecticut Yankee in the Court of King Arthur. And they did it in a way that had never been done on the Broadway stage before, which was to give the characters the knowledge of today, the hip language of the street as it was in 1927, but also with the these and thous of the oldie Englishy speech.
Thou swell, thou witty, thou sweet, thou grand, wouldst kiss me pretty, wouldst hold my hand, both mine eyes acute to what they do to me. Hear me holler, I choose a sweet lollapalooza in thee.
Dick was very prolific in what he wrote, but he didn't write as fast as Larry could write on a piece of toilet tissue or on anything in 5 minutes. And sometimes he'd disappear at rehearsal, and they'd say, "Where's Larry? We need the song, we need the song." Larry'd come in 15 minutes later, he's got the song in his hand.
Here in my arms, it's adorable, it's deplorable that you were never there. Not there, not good.
All right, now let's go ahead.
All right. Here, in my arms, it's adorable. It's deep.
While the books of the Rodgers and Hart shows of the 1920s were slight, they featured gems of songs which would outlast them. Songs such as the haunting ballad from Betsy, This Funny World.
This funny world makes fun of the things that you strive for. This funny world can laugh at the dreams you're alive for. If you're beaten, conceal it. There's no not feel it, just keep to yourself. Weep to yourself. This funny world can turn right around and forget you. It's always sure to roll right along when you're through. If you are broke, you should mind. It's all a joke, for you will find this funny world is making fun of you.
London, too, embraced Rodgers and Hart, who were often referred to as the new Gilbert and Sullivan. Their biggest hit there was Evergreen, featuring the top British musical star, Jessie Matthews.
At night I creep in bed, but never sleep in bed, just look above in the air. And to my sweetest joy, my boy is there. It is my prince who walks into my dreams and talks. He dances overhead on the ceiling near my bed, in my sight through the night. I try to hide in vain underneath my counterpane. There's my love up above. I whisper, go away, my lover, it's not fair.
While returning by sea from Europe, Richard Rodgers began his romance with Dorothy Finer, whom he married in 1930. As the Depression hit Broadway, Dick and his wife made their way west to Hollywood, which was eager to take on songwriters for the new medium of the talkies.
Now I want you to meet Richard Rodgers and Lorenz Hart. Their favorite composition is...
With a song in my heart, I behold your adorable face. Just a song after song.
Rodgers and Hart found their perfect collaborator in director Ruben Mamoulian. Together they used cinematic techniques to raise the film musical to a new level with Love Me Tonight. The film featured the classic song, Lover.
A lot of people know Lover as this kind of beautiful, chromatic, almost archetypal Rodgers and Hart waltz. And they know it because they know the printed version that Rodgers and Hart did. But in the movie of Love Me Tonight, it's quite different. Jeanette MacDonald is in a horse-drawn carriage, and Maurice Chevalier, he hears her singing this romantic song about her romantic daydreams, and the song is Lover. The song that she's singing is sung with the horse, and there's a double entendre there.
Like two children playing in the hay. He'll be my lord and my master. I'll be a slave to the last. He'll make my heart beat so faster. Not too fast.
There are even scenes in the film where the dialogue is rhymed. They did this in the film afterwards, too, Hallelujah, I'm a Bum, where there are just reams and reams of rhymed dialogue that Al Jolson does as sort of the mayor of Central Park, the king of the hobos.
Hello, Bumper! Hello, hello! Hello, Bumper! Hello, hello! Hello, 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 hello! Hello, hello, hello!
You were away so long. Gee, it was a crime.
I'm glad to be home, but I had a great time.
What goes on down south in this man's nation?
Manhandling, inebriation, and repopulation.
Hallelujah, I'm a Bum was a flop, and Rodgers and Hart were relegated to providing occasional songs for movies.
It was just plain insulting for Daddy and Larry. Songs were cut. No, they were just, you don't get no respect as a songwriter out there. And you're for hire.
At least one song from this period with a new lyric by Hart became a standard.
Without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own.
In 1935, Rodgers and Hart returned to Broadway for Jumbo, a circus extravaganza created by impresario Billy Rose and staged at vast expense in the huge theater of the Hippodrome. These home movies provide a rare glimpse of that extraordinary production.
It had elephants and seals and Jimmy Durante. And I still remember it was the first joke I ever got, probably. Jimmy Durante is stealing an elephant, and a cop comes up to him and says, "Where are you going with that elephant?" And Jimmy Durante says, "What elephant?" Which I remember thinking was hilariously funny at the age of 4.
My romance.
Jumbo would herald a string of Broadway hits for Rodgers and Hart, who, by collaborating with directors like George Abbott and Joshua Logan, extended the range of the musical theater. On Your Toes, starring Ray Bolger, was no exception to this trend.
On Your Toes used ballet in an integrated sense for the first time. The only time ballet had ever been used in the musical theater had been in revues. A disjointed, disconnected portion of the show. We made it a part of the show for the first time. And we went to a brilliant boy by the name of Balanchine, who didn't talk much English, but talked an awful lot of ballet. And he loved the idea.
For the movie version of On Your Toes, Balanchine had the challenge of working with an actor less skilled in dance.
He said, "We're going to be all right." He's a marvelous man. Tremendously warm and creative. Holy smoke. Just look at me. He can make me a dancer, which he did, sort of.
Balanchine would work with Rodgers and Hart on their next show, Babes in Arms, in which he created an Egyptian ballet featuring the Nicholas brothers. The show also included Dick's favorite among his songs composed with Larry, Where or When.
It seems we stood and talked like this before. We looked at each other in the same way then, but I can't remember where or when. The clothes you're wearing are the clothes you wore. The smile you were smiling then, but I can't remember where or when. Some things that happen for the first time seem.
'Seem to be happening again. 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 'Seem to be happening aga
that we have met before and laughed before and loved before, but who knows where or
When you're awake, the things you think come from the dreams you dream. Thought has wings and lots of things are seldom what they seem. Sometimes you think you've lived before all that you live today. Things you do come back to you as though they knew the way. Oh, the tricks your mind can play. It seems we stood and talked like this before. We looked at each other in the same way then, but I can't remember where or when. The clothes you're wearing are the clothes you wore. The smile you're smiling then, but I can't remember where or when. Some things that happen for the first time seem to be happening again. And so it seems that we have met before and laughed before and loved before, but who knows where or
One of the things that distinguishes Babes in Arms from a lot of their musicals is it just had a lot of great songs in it. I think it had 5 standards, where when The Lady is a Tramp, My Funny Valentine, Johnny One Note, I Wish I Were in Love Again. I mean, it's an incredible score. And there's some interesting things about the context of the songs. For instance, The Lady is a Tramp, the character who sings it is actually a woman who hitchhiked across country and has lived the life of a hobo. So when she talks about my hobohemia, she's really been a hobo.
I've wined and dined on mulligan stew and never wished for turkey as I hitched and hiked and grifted too from Maine to Albuquerque. Alas, I missed the Beaux-Arts ball in what is twice as sad. I was never at a party where they honored Noel Cad, but social circles spin too fast for me. My hobohemia is the place to be. I get too hungry for dinner at 8. I like the theater, but never come late. I never bother with people I hate. That's why the lady is a tramp. I don't like crap games with barons and earls. Won't go to Harlem in ermine and pearls. Won't dish the dirt with the rest of the girls. That's why the lady is a tramp. I like the free, fresh wind in my hair, life without care. I'm broke, it's oak, hate California, it's cold and it's damp. That's why the lady is a tramp. I go to Coney, the beach is divine. I go to ball games, the bleachers are fine. I follow Winchell and read every line. That's why the lady is a tramp. I like a prize fight that isn't a fake. I love the rowing on Central Park Lake. I go to opera and stay wide awake. That's why the lady is a tramp. I like the green grass under my shoes. What can I lose? I'm flat, that's that. I'm all alone when I lower my lamp. That's why the lady is a tramp.
Based on Shakespeare's The Comedy of Errors, the boys from Syracuse featured Larry's brother Teddy in a lead role, and also brought into the fold a new collaborator, the budding composer Hugh Martin. He wrote to Richard Rodgers asking why they didn't bring to the stage the popular jazz vocal arrangements of the day.
I didn't get a reply from Dick, but I did get a phone call, which scared the hell out of me because it said, "Come to the Alvin Theater at once. I have a job for you." And he said, "Well, we thought it would be amusing to have our three leading ladies sing a harmony thing at the end. We have a little song called Sing for Your Supper, and here's a copy. You take it home and fiddle around with it and come back and tell me what you think tomorrow." So I went home frozen with fear, and I sat at the piano and thought, "Oh, God, let me think of something brilliant." And I worked very hard on it and came back the next day with the arrangement. He said, "Oh, you've already finished it?" I said, "Well, I was excited about it. It's a wonderful song," and it is.
Hawks and crows do lots of things, but the canary only sings. She's a courtesan on wings, so I've heard. Eagles and storks are twice as strong. All the canary knows is song, but the canary gets along. Gilded bird, sing for your supper and you'll get breakfast. Songbirds always eat if their song is sweet to hear. Sing for your luncheon and you'll get dinner. Dine with wine of choice if romance is in your voice. I heard from a wise canary, trilling makes a fellow willing. So little swallow, swallow now. Now is the time to sing for your supper and you'll get breakfast. Songbirds are not dumb. They don't buy a crumb of bread. It's said, so sing and you'll be fed. Sing for your supper and you'll get breakfast. Songbirds always eat if their song is sweet to hear. Sing for your luncheon and you'll get dinner. Dine with wine of choice if romance is in your voice. I heard from a wise canary, trilling makes you willing. So little swallow, swallow now. Now is the time to sing for your supper and you'll get breakfast. Songbirds are not dumb. They don't buy a crumb of bread. It's said, so sing and you'll be fed. Sing for your supper and you'll get breakfast. Songbirds always eat if the song is sweet to hear. Sing for your luncheon and you'll get dinner. Dine with wine of choice if romance is in your voice. I heard from a wise canary, fellow willing song. Little swallow, swallow now. Now is the time to sing for your supper and you'll get breakfast. Songbirds are not dumb. They don't have to buy a crumb of bread, a spool of thread. Just sing instead. You don't have to buy even a crumb of bread instead.
one day, the phone rang, and it was Dick Rodgers, and he said, we opened last night in New Haven. Your arrangement stopped the show. We had to do it twice. We had to do it 3 times in all. We got 2 encores.
Too Many Girls, starring Desi Arnaz in his stage debut, was another great success for Rodgers and Hart.
It was a huge hit. Well, it was so fresh and filled with so many wonderful kids, me being one of them. You know. And of course, there were songs in there that well known. I had I Didn't Know What Time It Was, which became a standard.
I didn't know what time it was then I met you. Oh, what a lovely time it was, how sublime it was too.
Dick Rodgers was very easy to get along with. He was such a regular guy. Larry wasn't there too much. He was in saloons all over the place and then be there when he was needed, if they could get him there.
Fools rush in, so here I am.
I can remember Larry quite vividly. He was a bad drunk. He drank an awful lot. But there was something about him that was so endearing. He always seemed to think that nobody knew that he was homosexual and feared that people would find out. He actually once said to me he was afraid his mother would find out. And I couldn't resist it. I said, Larry, she might have had a lot to do with it. But he wouldn't accept that at all. In fact, he reacted very badly when I said that. He was a man thwarted in love. He admired many ladies, but could never really get to the point of having an actual affair. And I think this thwarted and impinged on his whole life.
He wasn't sad all the time. They always say, well, he was sad all. He wasn't sad all the time, but he was sad a great deal of the time. If he had to write a love song, he wrote a sad love song.
Once there was a thing called spring, when the world was writing verses like yours and mine. All the lads and girls would sing when we sat at little tables and drank May wine. Now April, May, and June are sadly out of tune. Life has stuck the pin in the balloon. Spring is here. Why doesn't my heart go dancing? Spring is here. Why isn't the waltz entrancing? No desire, no ambition me. Maybe it's because nobody needs me. Spring is here. Why doesn't the breeze delight me? Stars appear. Why doesn't the night invite me? Maybe it's because nobody loves me. Spring is here.
There was no coward, I think, who said of my father, that man positively pees melody. And he did, and quirky melodies, and it always went not quite where you expected it to go. But the minute you heard it, you thought, oh, that's exactly where it should go. It was a genius. It was incredible stuff. Daddy was always a very self-contained, disciplined person and diffident person who didn't like to show his feelings very often. When he did, look out. I mean, he could be quite sarcastic and biting. but he just wanted to write. He didn't want playing around and fooling around. And Larry was very hard to pin down.
He would disappear. So I had to lock him in, and I had to stimulate him with the tune, and then we would sit there and work out the lyrics.
For many, Rodgers and Hart reached their peak with the first truly adult musical, Pal Joey, based on stories written for The New Yorker by John O'Hara.
This was set in this kind of milieu of dive bars and lowlifes, and it was the kind of atmosphere that, frankly, Larry Hart knew pretty well. And I think it appealed to them because it was a chance to expand the boundaries of what a Broadway musical was and what it could be. And they threw themselves into it with gusto.
I have the worst apprehension that you don't crave my attention, but I can't force you to change your taste. If you don't care to be nice, dear, then give me air but not ice, dear. Don't let a good fella go to waste. For this little sin that you commit at leisure, you repent in haste. If my heart gets in your hair, you mustn't kick it around. If you're bored with this affair, you mustn't kick it around. Even though I'm mild and meek when we have a brawl, if I turn the other cheek, you mustn't kick it at all. When I try to ring the bell, you never care for the sound. The next guy may not do as well. You mustn't kick it around.
If they ask me, I could write a book about the way you walk and whisper and look.
Gene Kelly won this role hands down. Everybody knew that he was perfect for it. And I was playing a very rough character. Her name was Gladys Bumps. And she was tough. And I had never done anything even similar to that before. It was strong stuff.
All I remember is excitement, a bit of danger because of the difference in that show from other shows. The hero was not a hero. The hero was a kind of cheap, smart aleck.
That's the nightclub scene where the society lady, Vivian Siegel, very rich lady, middle-aged, meets Pal Joey, Gene Kelly, and has designs on him.
I'm wild again, beguiled again, a simpering, whimpering child again, bewitched, bothered, and bewildered am I.
She conveyed sophistication, intelligence, the ability to have a passionate sexual affair when her head knew better, and she sang very well.
I'll sing to him, each spring to him, and worship the trousers that cling to him, bewitched, bothered, and bewildered am I.
He was very close with Vivian Siegel. They were close, intimate friends. And he was always bringing little presents and things, and she was always squealing in delight and hugging him and kissing him. And they used to have terrible fights, too. And he would march around like a big man, and he was so tiny.
Larry Hart proposed marriage to Vivian Siegel, but she turned him down. As his alcoholism worsened, Hart's working relationship with his partner was becoming strained. When Rodgers was offered a nostalgic rural drama to turn into a musical, and Hart said he wasn't interested, the composer turned to another lyricist, Oscar Hammerstein II. Their first collaboration, Oklahoma, was a phenomenal success, greater than anything Rodgers and Hart had done.
Larry didn't want to do it. He went to see the opening night with his mother, and he didn't like it. But he wouldn't tell Dick he didn't like it. He had an entirely different personality than Hammerstein.
It had a kind of sunny, optimistic quality to it that I think connected with audiences immediately. And the influence that Oklahoma had on the musical theater was profound. You couldn't write a joke song kind of musical anymore. So I guess the birth of Rodgers and Hammerstein in a lot of respects meant the death of Rodgers and Hart, the death of the kind of musical that they wrote.
Rodgers and Hart would collaborate one last time on a revival of their 1927 hit, A Connecticut Yankee. The new songs they created showed that, in spite of his problems, Larry's wit was still alive.
I've been married and often I've sighed. I'm never the bridesmaid, I'm always the bride. I never divorced them, I hadn't the heart. Yet remember these sweet words, till death do us part. I've married many men, a ton of them, and yet I was untrue to none of them, because I bumped off every one of them to keep my love alive. Sir Paul was frail, he looked a wreck to me. At night he was a horse's neck to me. So I performed an appendectomy to keep my love alive. Sir Thomas had insomnia, he couldn't sleep at night. I bought a little arsenic, he's sleeping now, all right. Sir Philip played the harp, I cussed the thing. I crowned him with his harp to bust the thing. And now he plays where harps are just the thing to keep my love alive, to keep my love alive.
Opening night of the revival of Connecticut Yankee, Larry had been drinking heavily. Dick Rodgers had said out loud that if Larry made a fuss, he was going to have him ejected. I saw Larry was singing along with Vivian, you know, the song. The manager came and took Larry out, not bodily, just walked him out. And I said to Larry, let's go.
Dorothy Hart took Larry back to her apartment, but next morning he was gone. 3 days later, he was found suffering from pneumonia and was taken to Doctors' Hospital. On the 22nd of November 1943, during a blackout caused by an air raid alert, Larry Hart died. He was 48 years old.
The day Larry died, we went up to, you know, where he was being laid out, and Dick just fell apart. He fell into his wife's arms and cried like a baby. And he was not an emotional man.
I think Daddy was very, very upset by his death. I'm sure part of it was a residual sense of guilt over having left him, although that was the right thing to do, and he knew it, and Larry knew it. But I also great sadness I felt around the house because it was such a waste. If he'd only gotten himself to AA, or if he'd only thought better of himself, because everybody loved him. If he'd only loved himself as much as everybody else loved him, he might have kept himself alive.
You're my funny Valentine, sweet comic Valentine. You make me smile with my heart. Your looks are laughable, unphotographable, yet you're my favorite work of art. Is your figure less than Greek? Is your mouth a little weak when you open it to speak? Are you smart? But don't change a hair for me, not if you care for me. Stay, little Valentine, stay. Each day is Valentine's Day.
And the